Hello, everyone. Hi, hi, hi. I know I have been MIA in front of the camera for a few days, but I just needed to have a rest. My body needed the rest, my brain needed the rest, and so I rested. I did continue to post my Sarah Young daily devotionals because I really, really enjoy those. And that's what I do to kind of relax my brain and to find some peace is I read my Sarah Young books, I read my Bible, and that's what I do. So I'm hoping everyone is enjoying their life. And if you didn't listen to today's Sarah Young, that one is pretty, today's and yesterday's. Where's my book? Today's and yesterday's was pretty good. And it's, oh, I know where my book is. You're all leaning up against it. Hold on. Hold on. Let me get this situated. Um, there are, sorry, I'm just like adjusting this while you're here with me. Let's adjust it with my Thinking Fast and Slow book. It's a really good book. Um, okay. Oh, wait a minute. My mug is in the way. Oh, okay. Um, So, Sarah Young yesterday, I'll read it, but it would really help my channel if you go and listen to yesterday's from the 15th and today's. But what I was going to say is we're always trying to plan ahead. I mean, look at my calendar there. Always trying to plan ahead. And planning is okay, but we just have to understand and make sure that we know God's plan is going to make that pivot for sure. I could like, that's a year mapped out. Look, let me show you. That's a year of stuff mapped out. But He is inevitably going to make it change because whatever I see, whatever I plan for is just what I'm able to come up with. And what He could come up with is I will never, 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 never be on the level that God is because He's just that guy. So, planning is fine, but you have to be able to pivot knowing that each and every one of us are on God's plan and God's time, even though it's our life journey, but still. Okay. Yesterday's said, my face is shining upon you, beaming out peace that transcends understanding. You are surrounded by a sea of problems, but you are face to face with me, your peace. As long as you focus on me, you are safe. If you gaze too long at the myriad problems around you, you will sink under the weight of your burdens. When you start to sink, simply call out, help me, Jesus, and I will lift you up. The closer you live to me, the safer you are. Circumstances around you are confusing, and there are treacherous looking waves in the distance. Fix your eyes on me, the one who never changes. By the time those waves reach you, they will have shrunk to proportions of my design. I am always beside you, helping you face today's waves. The future is a phantom, seeking to spook you. Laugh at the future. Stay close to me. I love that because literally, how many times anxiety, I used to suffer from anxiety horribly, horrible anxiety. Diagnosed with PTSD, with generalized anxiety disorder, with migraines. It was really, really bad for a number of years until I realized that I'm creating all of these things in my mind. because I had always needed, I was living in fight or flight mode because of the situation that I was in. I was literally living on pins and needles, having to be 20 steps ahead in order to plan for survival and for myself and for my children. And so when you live in that mindset for so long, it becomes, as crazy as it may sound, when it's normal, you don't know how to function in the normal because you're always so focused on survival. And so normal starts to feel uncomfortable. And fight or flight becomes your norm. And so it's like what people would say, oh my gosh, you like having a lot of stress. You like all of these things. And it's like, I don't like it. I just manage it really well, not knowing that I was managing myself into an early grave because I was just putting so much stress on my physical body. But anyway, I'm a work in progress, no longer suffering from anxiety. Um, and when I do feel it creeping up, I know how to nip it really quickly, and I know how to um, kick the devil's butt and just be like, "Oop, not today, devil, not today." And I was able to, I mean, I'll do a different story time when it comes to how I overcame my anxiety and stuff. But um, looking into the future too much, it's it's okay to plan, but you can't live in the future during present time. It's not a healthy thing to do. People like to say, oh, envision yourself how you want to be, see yourself how you want to be, act the part so that you can get there. It kind of skews your reality, and it just adds stress that you don't need. So read your Bible. That's what you got to do. Anyway, okay. So today's January 16th, today's Jesus Calling says, come to me and rest in my loving presence. You know that this day will bring difficulties, and you are trying to think your way through those trials. As you anticipate what is ahead of you, you forget that I am with you, now and always. Rehearsing your troubles results in experiencing them many times, whereas you are meant to go through them only when they actually occur. Do not multiply your suffering in this way. Instead, come to me and relax in my peace. I will strengthen you and prepare you for this day, transforming your fear into confident trust. Because here's the thing when it comes to projecting and fear and um, anxiety and living in all of these what ifs. All that is, literally, when you think about it, it's all a lack of trust and a lack of faith. Because if you know and you truly believe and you live the fact that God is always here with us, that He is always going to have your back, and He's always just going to be a help me, Jesus, call away, then all of the fear, all of the anxiety, it goes away. Now, I'm not saying not to be self aware and not to have situational awareness, especially camping and traveling as a solo female and having my dogs because I'll be preoccupied with them. Although they 1,000% of the time are ahead of um, situational awareness a lot more keenly than I am. But it's having trust and having faith takes away all of those what ifs. And I didn't start to, I felt it a lot in my life, but just never understood what it was until my middle son, when we moved to our home, our state where we're living now in Pennsylvania. It wasn't until we moved and he was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma at age 16. It was, how could I say? It was such a matter of fact stance that I felt in my spirit, where when the doctor was like, when the doctor was going through um, all of the treatments and the side effects, and I had to sign off on what I was agreeing to and speaking with him and trying to understand if he understood what his body was going to be going through and if he even wanted to go through it. I had such a sense of calm and a sense of peace because I just knew he was going to be okay. I mean, it was just, it was part of his journey. It was part of my journey. It was part of my other children's journey because I've never had a sibling that had stage 4 cancer. And they never had a sibling that had stage 4 cancer. And so the experience itself, we were all looking at it from a different lens. And I just had this peacefulness where, of course, as a mom, you just go into um, you go into mom mode and you go into not fight or flight, but you go into just logistical, like you're a strategist and you just start putting things together and plans together with his medical team. And it was just such a well oiled machine that I didn't have the time to think about what if he doesn't make it because I knew he was going to. So it wasn't a thought. And people would say, "Oh my gosh, you're so strong, you're so resilient. You're laughing, you're smiling." And it's always been my motto. You could laugh and smile whenever you choose to. Society thinks something like that. You're supposed to be, oh my God, my son, my son. I didn't like watching him go through the treatments because as a mom, you just want to take away any type of discomfort from your children. You want to take away any pain. And the hardest thing for me to release was not being in control of my child's um, experiences, of all three of my children. Um, but his cancer, he was treated for a year. He was in remission for a year. It came back when he turned 18, again, stage 4. This time it was a lot more aggressive. He needed a bone marrow transplant this time around, in addition to chemo and radiation. And again, it was just like I knew he was going to be okay. And I remember the first time when he was 16, he qualified for the Make a Wish Foundation to make a wish. And I remember, I think that was the first time where it kind of hit me that clinically the possibility of him passing away from this was there because the social worker, she was like, okay, well, he qualifies, given the scale of his illness, he does qualify for the Make a Wish Foundation. And I'm like, that's for terminal patients. That's for like people who are close to dying from their diseases. And she looked at me really confused and kind of perplexed and was like, does this woman not understand that her son doesn't have a common cold? And I was just like, mm, he's going to be okay, but okay, if we must, we'll go through this Make a Wish Foundation thing. Um, and so ever since then, of course, I mean, he did make his wish. And I think that was the only moment where someone looked at me like, this chick needs like help. But again, throughout his first treatments, throughout the second ones, or first bout and second bout, it was just kind of just this confidence, this matter of factness, this spiritual knowing and this spiritual peace, knowing that he was going to be okay because he was in God's hands. And this was something that we all needed to go through, regardless of whatever lens we were looking through, because it was preparing us for whatever was on the horizon. And it wasn't until he was in remission that I was just so mentally exhausted that all of these waves of anxiety started to float in because I started listening to everyone else. Oh, he could have died. He could have this. He could have that. What if this and what that? And I started feeding into all of that. And I was just like, what the heck? He's healthy. He's okay now. He rang the bell in radiation. Like, why are you tripping out now? And I try and give myself kindness and remind myself that at that time, as confident as I was that he was going to be okay, I was still I was still just getting over or trying to process having moved to a new state. I mean, he was diagnosed 3 months in. So, okay, sorry about that. He was diagnosed 3 months after we had moved to PA. So, I had just started a new job. He and my daughter were in new schools. So, it was a lot. It was a lot going on. Um, and yeah, it's just a lot. It was a lot to process at the time. And it wasn't until after he was fully in remission the second time around that everything kind of like came pouring in. Bonkers, how your brain works, how our minds are created. So once I fully, fully understood where my anxiety was coming from, that lack of trust, that's when I kind of gave it all over to God and being like, you know what? I'm not doing myself any good. I'm not doing anybody else any good living through this anxiety because it's not living. I'm existing through this anxiety. I need your help in taking this away. So what do I do? And so that's what I did. It became it became an internal get to know yourself type thing, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It was a deep dive into me. And God was with me and still is, remains with me, holding my hand every step of the way. And so I thank God for allowing me to hear what He was telling me and um, get over. You don't have anxiety, you feel anxious. And so I'm thankful that He allowed me to know my body enough and know when I'm starting to feel anxious. And then it's just like, no, 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 devil, no, devil, Not today. Kick rocks. Not today. My God is bigger than all of this that you're trying to make me think is a thing. It's not a thing. And if God has me going through something, it's because he's preparing me for something else. And so you're even more pissed off, devil, because I'm not letting you infiltrate my brain. Mm-mm. No, sir. I don't care what you come across looking like. It's not happening. So yeah, that's it. That's all I gotta say about that. um, but yeah. So while YouTube is still continuing to push small time creators, I'm doing my best to get my messages across. And this is my message. The devil could kick rocks because God is all you need. God is all we all need. The Bible is our blueprint on how to live life. So read it, but read it through the lens of God and how he wrote it, not from a lens of what can I take out of this? No. If you read it from his lens of love and what he as a father wants for us, you'll be able to appreciate it and be reverent to him and fully embrace the unconditional love that he has for us as a child of God. So, anyway, that's all I got. So, be well, be safe, be kind to yourself and others. If you're on the East Coast of the United States, be careful with this crazy weather. Alrighty, take care. Adios, amigos.